Hello everybody, it is I, Noob Mr. We are here with the Game Time Podcast. Yes, where we talk about life, gaming, and all that good stuff in between. All that good stuff. Yes, I am being joined by Mike Set. Yes, Mike Set, he is here with me. Yes.
You sound like you're trying to do an impersonation of O'Malley from Red vs. Blue. And I think it's working.
I didn't even know that Yes, I am just doing an evil voice. I wasn't trying to do any particular impersonation. I was just trying to do an evil voice. Although if I go a bit deeper, which kind of hurts my throat a bit, I must admit, I kind of sound like an evil Prince Charles. I am so evil. Mother.
Love it. Yes, you are also accompanied by Mike Set, also known as Dragon V942, also known as Matthew Kelly, also known as that Talking Cheeto.
Yes, that Talking Cheeto. Yes, Cheetos. Food. Delicious. Anyway, enough sidetracking. Let's get on with the podcast. So, life. Let us talk about life. I know for a matter of fact that there are a couple of things that you want to talk about today, because the matter of fact that you pinned it to this Discord call to try and make sure that you remembered to talk about it, because you forgot last week.
Yes, as a matter of fact. Though, what should we start with? A certain SFM that we watched together, or some other life things that I mentioned in the...
Just start with the first thing, I suppose. Start with the top of the list and work your way down. It's that simple.
We'll start with a little something I wanted us to talk about from last podcast, but totally forgot. I wanted to talk about Movie Modown, also known as Sacrius's latest SFM project that he finally finished, and was in the works for about roughly 2 years. He's like the opposite of me. He dedicates to something, and no matter how long it takes, he goes through with it. Me, things take forever on my side just because I lack the motivation to do it, because it didn't take a day to do. If it takes more than a day, I very quickly lose interest. I wish I was Movie Modown. So let's talk about Black Dust, which is the name, well, basically the pilot episode of Black Dust.
Which, from what I've seen of it, because you showed me it last week or a few days ago, I can't remember when it was you showed me it, it's kind of like Source Filmmaker if it was trying to emulate an anime, basically. Basically,
kind of a big deal, sorry. And if you know Movie Modown, he likes to hybridize a few things together. Like, in this case, it's Left 4 Dead, Resident Evil, and Kingdom Hearts.
So, 3 things that have virtually nothing to do with one another, and he somehow managed to hybridize the lot of them. Somehow.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, go on.
And I personally kind of grew attached to his sense of humor in this one. I noticed that in his previous ones he made a lot of other references and whatnot, and likes to jab at anime or over exaggerate the parts that he like. Like, for example, the last Blue Spy episode, he made Rarity have the most, quote, kawaii, squeaky anime girl like voice, even shouting the word baka.
I barely remember that. All I remember from the Blue Spy thing...
need to be rude, you baka! So
the only thing I remember from that...
At all. That's word for word what the line was.
I didn't hear it all for that because I was talking over you. My apologies.
Who's talking over who now? Anyway, you go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I can really remember of that, it was probably from like a trailer or something, was the Blue Spy running on a helicopter blades or something.
That was one of them.
Yeah, that's about the only thing I really remember about that. It's just that one scene where you think he's jumped either into the propellers or away from the helicopter, and then the helicopter comes up and he's just running on the rotor blades. That's about the only thing I remember about that. So, apologies to Sacrius, but it just not an awful lot of the series really stood out for me. to be perfectly honest. So,
So I really
sorry.
like the turn that his sense of humor and comedic writing has been changing a bit. Like I like the I'm a big sucker for the calm moments and then a sudden realization to something you didn't question earlier. Like for example, oh, shoot, I forgot her name, but Adams is just Sizzler asks what is she watching, and then eventually asks, "Wait, how the fuck did you get in here?" I love those moments. The wait, hold on, or wait, what? Or wait a second. Hell, I was even a sucker of those moments with the Family Guy series. Though I like how I both like and also don't like how they intentionally drag it out. I think the longest one was when that one episode where Quagmire tells Peter Griffin that no, he has not touched Meg, who had just turned 18. He goes, okay, and then he says, yeah, maybe you could talk to her. And so he goes, I'll try, and there's blah 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 this, and he drags it out for several minutes before eventually get into the wait a minute, no, I will not talk to her, and you stay away from her. uh, but I'm a big sucker for those wait a seconds or wait a minute, just that late. I just love
That delay
comedy
before
like
they
that.
realise the punchline.
Yeah, and I like that type of comedy. And as usual, as I expected in Black Dust, or well, not really just in Black Dust, but in Secrius's or Movie Modown's videos in general, he likes to reference or jab at his older creations. Like I believe the video that she was watching was a parody of that scene from Game of Thrones. I remember the meme called "Dear God, my head feels like it's being split in half like a melon that is being crushed by a mountain" or something. I can't remember what the meme was, but that was the scene. And the scene that you see is when the heavy, in full armor, still has a visor, a helmet, eats a baby doll through, and you hear that from Stanley Parable, the wah, wah.
I thought that sound effect sounded a bit familiar. I was just like, I know I've heard
Yeah,
that somewhere
you
before, but
heartless bastard.
I eat baby now.
And
He's
Stanley,
nice.
I mean the Stanley narrator, you heartless bastard. Did you do that because you hate babies or purely to despite me? Sorry, I get spite and despite mixed up a lot.
Apparently, that particular bit of the game, you can actually sit there for 8 hours and play that
Yeah,
specific
I've
game.
seen what happened. Yeah, I've seen what happens when you actually go through it, and I like how he assumes that you're using a macro, so he like an auto clicker, so he puts up two buttons where it's not just a baby, but it's also a dog. But you can also set up a code that just makes you go sideways, forward, E, back, left, E, and repeat. And I forgot exactly what happens at the end, but I think it's a bit of both a mind fuck and also that makes little sense, or just cryptic empty bullshit.
Eh. So kind of like
But
very high level philosophy that nobody gets, not even the philosopher who said it.
uh,
So yes, black dust. It is a
I
thing
really
that exists on the internet.
and I really love again at least for half of it I noticed I stopped, or I can't remember, it was either he stopped bothering me about it or I asked him to not bother me constantly about these, but he used to constantly come to me to keep him company and watch him stream he doing a scene or whatnot. So I know just how much effort he puts into each one of these scenes, and seeing them all come together. Now I see, because when I see these scenes and when he's doing this and that, I'm like, are you sure of this? But I just didn't get his style. Now I do, especially in this one, because it's changed drastically compared to Secrius buys a tank to, well, Black Dust, the pilot episode. Also, I mean, like even for example, the how rude, how he just walks off. He has that rain cloud, and even has the anime sound effects you'd probably hear
Mm-hmm.
from Diplomat. And speaking of which, I'm really glad that he got really good actors and actresses. Apparently, the actress who played sorry, the daughter of, who was it, a mayor? I can't remember who he was in the series. Again, I I just mainly paid attention to Adams and some of the little jokes. But apparently, she's voiced in Dust and Elysian Tale, or was
Eli
at least in a
Monty.
few games.
Eli Monty is her name, I think, or Ellie Monty. I must have been. I think it's Ellie Monty. I'm pronouncing it wrong. So, if you're listening to this, Monty, I apologize for butchering your name. I read things as I think they are read, rather than how they are actually properly pronounced.
And I apologize for not remembering your name in the credits at all.
Yeah, but then again, she's done a lot of. In fact, she even did the voice of Mustache Girl in A Hat in Time.
Oh.
So, she's a very high-profile voice actress.
And again,
yeah.
I'm glad that Secrius took this really serious and, just got... Again, it went from using some voice actors and actresses in, say, for example, Blue Spy, where he mixed a little bit of original voice acting, but with the TF2 original quotes, it kind of was a mishmash of a mess. But now he's just, gone all out. It's, again... I like how he's just trying to improve. And I'm glad that he's not getting much shit that he used to get when he was doing the Blue Spy and the Secretary Spy's a Tank from those Gmod trollers that I used to have on my ass.
Yeah, I used to have problems with those guys as well, but it's just... where are they now? I don't even know if they even still exist on the internet anymore.
Oh, they do. They do.
I don't pay attention to them anymore. It's just like, yeah, you can go grumble in your corner. I'll just stay over in mine, making money, making lots of money.
And bloots.
And what?
Bloots. Sorry, it's a reference to one of your old drawn reviews.
No, it was money and life stones.
Yeah, and then there was bloots too.
Bloots? Bloots?
Yeah, from Loadout. Or did you not use the money?
I didn't use that in Loadout. I am fairly certain
Okay, I'm misremembering things, and I'm going on imaginary dreamland. Pinch me. Wake me up.
Inside? Yeah, sorry, you said wake me up, and my immediate reaction was just like... oh, and even... then, humming tunes like that is going to likely land me with a copyright strike. Because did you hear that Jacksepticeye got a copyright strike on one of his videos because he sung the first part of Hooked on a Feeling? And apparently he sung it so well that they they identified it as the song, and they were just like, yeah, we're copyright striking that. It's just like, okay, I wasn't actually playing the song or anything.
He wasn't the only one. He wasn't the only one.
Really?
I don't remember the others, but yeah, this isn't the first time it's... I can't remember, but I remember hearing someone who actually hummed, didn't outright sing, but hummed, and it somehow caught onto him. I don't remember who it was, though.
So basically, sing everything that you do with regards to copyright songs out of tune, and it won't pick it up. Unless it's picking up on the melody or something, I don't know.
I remember when I was so much younger, I was so used to the whole every song is gonna get your video muted on YouTube because of copyright. It was ingrained in my head so much, I hesitated to listen to music in real life sometimes because I'm worried I'm gonna get muted. As stupid as it was, and I wasn't that young, but still it was in my head. I was like, did I really just think that? Jesus fucking Christ, what has YouTube done to me?
Then again, with Article 13 coming up, a lot of people are being paranoid. But I was listening.
I gotta get this out of the way real quickly. Speaking of which, goddamn Derpaboro did its April Fool's thing where it was nothing but Article 13 everywhere, and you literally couldn't browse the site. Half of the stuff was down and whatnot, but luckily it wasn't even 24 hours. It was just 12 hours it lasted for. But dear God, they really tried hard to get that whole thing noticed.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
What I'm surprised about is Fur Affinity and even DeviantArt didn't do anything.
No, DeviantArt just did some stupid, oh, now you can smell the art.
Wasn't that last April Fool's? I remember once when
No, I think their last April Fool's was like you draw a picture from your imagination,
I
and it
remember
like
years
puts it
ago
on the
when they made
screen.
everyone's. Yeah, I remember years ago when they made everyone's avatar a reference to Lady Gaga.
I don't remember that one.
I was around. It was. I think I was 10 or so. I can't remember, but yeah. Everyone's avatars was forced to change to some. Hang on. I'll look it up. DA April
Well, while
Fools.
you're doing that, I was just going back onto what I was talking about with regards to Article 13. I was listening to another podcast the other day, and well, yesterday actually, and they were basically saying that a lot of people were going along the lines of, "Oh, Article 13 is really going to badly affect the gamers," but it not really, because all the game companies need to do is just come along and just go, "Yeah, hi everyone, you can use our gameplay in your videos and monetize it, not a problem," and that's it. Article 13 is essentially just completely and utterly useless against that. Not to mention, a lot of games will probably start putting in things like streamer modes or whatever, where it turns off any copyrighted music or puts on alternate soundtracks based on what you've selected. And obviously, this thing that you've linked me here is what you're talking about, right?
Yep. All of those down below are avatars from DA. Look what they all got changed to randomly. Wait, no, it wasn't just Lady Gaga. It was either Lady Gaga or it was Twilight.
So basically, everything that was memeable at the time.
Yeah.
Okay then. Yeah, so getting back on topic, there was apparently something else you wanted to talk about as well. We've talked about Black
Uh,
Dust, we've talked about other random things, and then there was something else.
oh yeah, I have this friend of mine who I recently got into Warframe Leon. One time I was making um some toast and I was just going on and on about the toaster and how my family went from those, those spring old ones to this one that's automatic, has a beep and whatnot, and these different modes. And I said it even has this one called crumpet mode, and he was like, "What? Crumpet mode? Did you seriously say crumpet mode?" Yeah. You lucky son of a bitch. I'm British, and I don't have a toaster that has crumpet mode, and I fucking love crumpets.
Yeah, I think mine's got a bagel mode, but that's about it. There's no crumpet mode.
Or is it the bagel?
Is it the bagel? The bagel! The bagel!
Bagel. I remember when there was actually a drivable bagel in Second Life, and when you drove it, all you heard was the remix bagel. Oh, there was even this avatar which was just the default, at least the old default human avatar with two wheels posed like he's a motorcycle, and when you ride it, it's that South Park from South Park, I believe it was.
I
Those
don't
things
know. I've not really watched much of South Park, to be perfectly honest. So I
All I
wouldn't
know
know.
is that's where it's from, so I haven't seen it yet either. Oh goodness! And also, speaking of food, which we
Mm-hmm.
tend to talk about a lot,
Yes.
is it bad that we well, I tend to steer towards food eventually in these conversations?
No, because I end up talking about food as well. Because, well, I think I might be getting to the point where I'm almost starving myself in a way because I'm having to cut down on my food bills so much that at the moment, like, for 3 meals this week, I'm effectively going to have to be eating fish finger sandwiches and potato wedges for a meal, and that's it. So
You need more.
yeah, maybe, I don't know. Hey, I still eat food, so it's not
Maybe.
like I'm having to skip meals or anything. It just means that I'm having to cut down on a lot of stuff.
Speaking of shopping, I have something that I am still embarrassed about to this day.
Yeah, you had that pinned on that list as well, so
Yeah.
something about a shopping list, I understand.
Yes. I was sick once and I wanted to go shopping. Rang up dad and he said he'd go get the groceries for me. He told me to update my phone's notepad with everything I needed or wanted, and I was, about to go back to bed. My vision was blurry and all that. I was not feeling well. I was just out of it. And I was just, relying on the I use spelling this and just clicking what I thought it was. I got all except one right. One thing I didn't even double check before I put the phone down for my dad to pick up. He went through all the lists and went here and there, but here's the thing: he didn't check it ahead of time. He just took the phone, read the list from top to bottom as he went through, and when he got to what was supposed to be 6-pack of raw chicken legs, it read 6-pack of raw children's legs, and he bursted out laughing. Everyone looked at him. He said it was the most. He said it was one embarrassing, but it made his day. When he came home, and I was wondering why was he just standing there grinning at me, and just slowly lifted up the phone. I'm like, what? What the hell? And he started laughing. He said that made my day and also embarrassed myself. I laughed out loud, and everyone was looking at me like I was crazy. This is what Dad told me.
How does a phone autocorrect chicken to children?
Especially when I had
they don't even contain the same letters. I mean, it does end in en and does start with ch. Yes, it does.
I have no idea.
But the middle letters are so different. Yeah, there's an I after the and
again,
H,
I wasn't looking. I just saw the ch and n at the end, and I figured, I think that's it. I really need to lie down. I'm about to pass out.
This is like, and then that's sleepy time.
6-pack of raw children's legs. My dad will never let me forget that. It said, so, feel like trying out being a cannibal again? Shut up, Dad. I wasn't paying attention to the phone. And he's like, yeah.
Next time I'm offered to write somebody's shopping list and they ask for chicken legs, I'm going to purposely write children's legs and see if they notice.
No! Don't you dare say it was because of me!
Yes, I will say it was because of you.
Now I hate you almost as much as I hated when you left that part in when I was just deadpanned and whatnot, telling you what you should probably do for your intro when we were playing The Forest! As you said, I'm putting that in.
I'm putting that in. That's what she said. that line is such a that's what she said joke. In fact, you can put pretty much just say anything, and then just add that's what she said, and it'll immediately.
My fellow co-worker Daniel Castle just seizes every opportunity for all of his childish remarks. And one time, I didn't get a reaction out of it, but one time when he said the whole "that's what she said" about something about being long or whatnot, or hard, I just said under my breath, "That's what you wish she said."
I'm accusing you of having a limp dick.
I was just so done with him. Ugh.
Yeah,
Anyways,
on the subject of annoying co-workers, back when I actually used to be employed, I mean, I am kind of technically employed because I'm self-employed, but, how many people really classify YouTube as a full-time employment thing nowadays? But anyway, back when I was working the shittiest job I could find, which was literally late evening stock counts, which didn't end until the stock count was complete, which could be anywhere up until about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, which happened once, and I was like 3 hours away from home and had to go back on a minibus. Although admittedly, while we were going back, I did get to see the sunrise, which was interesting. But yeah, there was one guy there called Phil, and you can probably see where this is going, considering what we were talking about last week. It always seems that anybody who has the name Phil is just the bad things are going to happen. But this guy was particularly annoying because he was one of the supervisors, And he used to walk up behind you, and I get very easily distracted when I'm trying to count things. So if I'm trying to count something, and somebody says something to me, I immediately lose count. And what was annoying was that this guy always used to walk up behind you and go, faster, 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 to you as he walked past. And of course, I'm trying to sit there and count. My mind immediately focuses on what he's saying. And then when I try and go back and count, it's just like, what number was I up to again? Oh, shit. So I'd literally be on like 98, 99, faster, 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 102. No, wait, hang on. What number was it? Oh, fuck! 1, 2, 3.
Faster.
Yeah, it eventually got to the point where the last count I did, he wasn't actually supervising that one. He was just a normal counter like the rest of us. And we were in a sort of a clothing shop, and we were counting all these shelves, and there were 2 other people nearby, me and Phil, and between me and the 2 others, we kind of had this silent agreement that anything we were counting would be what was literally directly in front of us and directly behind us. So we were effectively doing an aisle. And on my aisle, there was like a, one of those, I can't remember if it was like a swivel thing or if it was like a 2-sided display, but I only did one side of the display and thought, right, Phil will take care of the other side while I continue along this row. At that point, Phil was like thinking I was going to do the whole thing. So when I didn't, he basically got all pissy about it and then was just like, oh, next count that you do and I'm supervising, I'm going to give you some of the really shitty jobs. And I was just like, joke's on you. I'm not going back after this. Basically, the guy was just being a massive pissant the entire time. And yeah. Needless to say, I am never doing that line of work ever again, and not to mention the fact that it was a 0-hour contract, which basically means that they can pay you whatever the hell they want, and just be like, oh well, you're only doing 0 hours, so it's not, it's not like it really matters or anything. So yeah, 0 hours contracts are shitty things as well. So much so that have you ever heard of a restaurant called Weatherspoons before?
Nope.
I guess it's obviously not a thing that's American or Australian or anything like that, but there's like a chain of like. I can't say
for certain.
There's like a chain of like pubs and restaurants, sort of a pub-restaurant hybrid, in a way, over here in the UK, and basically there was a massive walkout. Like I think it was like last month or the month before, because a lot of the people there were working on 0 hours contracts and they were literally not being paid enough to even live off of. So they were getting really, really annoyed, and they were just like, yeah, if we're not going to get paid enough, we're just going to go on strike. And the owner of the place was just so dismissive of them. He's just like, oh, they're just complaining, they're just being lazy and stuff like that. He basically refused to acknowledge the fact that these guys were not being paid enough. And one of the people that interviewed him about it just said that the questions that that the interviewer was asking weren't real questions. He was basically doing a Donald Trump to him. Except instead of just saying, "Oh, this is fake news," he's like, "Oh, these are fake questions." So, yeah, owner of Weatherspoons, you are an asshole. Pay your people a better wage. Pay them the minimum living wage. And get rid of your 0 hours contracts as well. But, if Labour get voted in for next parliamentary elections, they're apparently planning on doing away with 0 hours contracts. And I'm just like, good. I know how much they can be exploited. Because I've worked one before, and it was shit. But, is there anything else you want to talk about? Because we can move on to gaming stuff next.
Well, last thing I just want to mention, I was going to ask you this, but I doubt you've been at McDonald's lately, have you?
No, I went off. Again, last time I had a McDonald's, I think was Ooh, when was the last time I had a McDonald's? I think it was when I was coming back from somebody's wedding because I had to come back on my own and I was going via a coach and we
Mm.
stopped off. We stopped off somewhere and just to sort of get out and stretch your legs, sort of thing. And there was a McDonald's nearby. I was just like, the only thing I still like at McDonald's is their milkshakes, so I am going to go and buy a milkshake.
Oh, and do you remember what we call them down here in the land down under?
I know it's not Hungry Jack's because that's what you call Burger King,
Yep.
but I don't know what you call McDonald's.
We call it Macca's.
Oh, Macca's. Oh, wait, I think I do remember seeing that on some of the signs. I I don't know. I can't remember. It was a few years ago that I went to Australia, and let's be totally honest, I wasn't paying too much attention to a lot of those street signs, especially McDonald's. But I don't know why I just remember that Burger King is just called Hungry Jack's over there. Maybe because I actually went in there
Yeah.
several times and actually had a burger.
Yeah, and my goodness, again, I didn't really notice it that much, but when you look at the, like, for example, the names of some towns and shops and whatnot around here in the land down under, I, I can understand how some people will be like, that sounds kind of funny. Like Wangaratta, Wodonga, Glenrowan, Warrnambool.
Glen Rowan sounds more like an actor's name.
But Glenrowan is the, again, was where, well, currently my mom and dad are living at the moment, which is a tourist attraction to Ned Kelly.
Yeah, anybody who's watched Extra History before will know that they did an entire
Extra credit.
yeah, but that particular series within Extra Credits is called Extra History.
Yeah. I recommend watching his because I really liked how I have watched other reviewers and how they um, detail the story, but I really like the colorful way of how he does it, but still does it sincerely and to a good degree of detail and charm.
Hmm. Admittedly, they do make mistakes and they do follow up videos where they're just like, yeah, this bit was wrong, or we mispronounced this, or we got this mixed up. So they're
Hmm.
not perfect and they do admit when they make mistakes, but it's still a really good series to watch and it's still really, really interesting. It's just like having a bit of a visual means to, or a media to view while you're listening to those stories.
Anyway, back on track of why I brought up the topic of Macca's in the first place is because I've noticed how much they are starting to invest in the kiosks now. Have you encountered those yet? Have they installed
No.
kiosks?
I mean, are you sort of talking about like smaller restaurants within like train stations or something where it's just the counter but there's no like places to
No,
sit
no.
or
What
anything
I
like
mean
that?
is, there's the area, the counter where you talk to the person, you say what you want, and this and that. But now they've also got these little computers on the sides here. Like
Oh,
the Macca's that I'm at
those.
has three or four, no, sorry, four kiosks. And I've noticed that they've got one person stationed near, and he's just basically encouraging everyone to use it and whatnot.
Yeah,
And
they've
yes,
installed those in the McDonald's where I live as well. I've never really gone in there, but I've walked past it enough times and looked inside and thought, why have they put those in? What happened to the human interaction of just going up to the kiosk and going, "Can I have this, please?"
it's still there, but yeah, there's that one dude that's just encouraging as well as showing or assisting as to how they use it. Also, I will admit though, he kind of had me smiling because he is obviously a gamer. He noticed that the shirt I was wearing was Assassin's Creed. All it was just that one symbol and a Roman little symbol. There was no title below, so he knew exactly what it was from. And I said, my mom just got it for me. I don't actually play the game. I am a Warframe player, though. He slowly smiled and said, I'll let that slide then. He just said it with a snicker. But yeah, I personally do admittedly prefer the kiosks because I get a little bit nervous when I'm on the spot and I'm talking to that to the person behind the counter. I'm like, shit, how do I order this again, or this and that, or I repeat this like when I have this special burger because I like to have it just meat and cheese or sometimes with the bacon, no seeds, no sauce. I have to go through that. I have to make sure they understand what I said. Now there's just a kiosk. I can custom the order. I can tell it how many extra buns I want, burger, meats, cheese. do I want it to have salt and pepper? Do I want this or anything else? Or do I want to put a piece of bacon? How much? All that stuff.
Bacon!
I like how you can do that. And I keep forgetting whenever I want large chips or a drink, and it's cheaper if you get in a Happy Meal. The kiosk at least says, "Would you like to have this in a Happy Meal order?" So
Interesting.
yeah, and then converts the two I was trying to do separately into a cheaper full deal. So again, I like that. And plus, if they screw up, they can't say that they didn't understand me. It was both sent to them on the kiosk, and I have a physical receipt that's written out what I ordered.
Yeah, I guess that is a kind of a clever way of doing it, but at the same time, it's just a case of what's stopping you from just walking up to the kiosk and just going, "Can I have that, please?" It's just,
Well,
I just feel like they've
talking
kind
over
of
you.
introduced a middleman to do something that was really, really simple to begin with. I mean, that would be kind of the equivalent of like Nando's doing something like that, but
I'm probably a small minority here, but I do like the fact that there's an option to do it a digital way that I'm more comfortable with. It's the equivalent of I'm too nervous and I don't have a good handwriting, so I'd rather type something. Because I know that my big brother across the road does not like how they're constantly trying to shove the kiosk in your face and encourage you to use it. But I'm unfortunately am one of those people that I actually am happy that this is an option. I couldn't care less if they're shoving it in my face. I'm like, no need to do that. I'm gonna walk over there right now. In fact, I
yeah.
was fascinated to interact with the kiosk. The only thing I was just pissed about was that they're obviously starting to get a little bit of wear and tear there. Because, like for example, just scroll up and down, you have to click and hold on a button to scroll. You can't do it in an empty space. Either that or I'm doing it wrong. So sometimes it thinks I clicked on something when I was trying to scroll down. So I ordered a frosty something other different drink rather than this regular other drink I was after, or a cappuccino or something.
Yeah, where the screen starts wearing out and it obviously needs replacing, but they can't be bothered to replace it, or they're like, it still works, it still works, it still works. See, I can still scroll it, and it's just like, yeah, you know how to accommodate for the fact that it doesn't work.
What I But again, this brings me back to the person that was supervising everyone. He saw my little frustration when I went, oh, God damn it. He says, I know it's a pain in the neck.
It's like, why do you not replace these things? Is it really that expensive?
All I asked was the ability to just click and drag anywhere. It doesn't have to be on a button. So if it does flip out, it's just clicking on air. But
Hmm.
again, I think they have actually already implemented that, or that was already a thing. I just wasn't doing it right. So don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have to go to a McDonald's at some point in the near future, because moving on to the gaming side of things, I do have one. Probably mentioned this previously, but I am going to be going up to a convention later this month up in Birmingham for gaming-related stuff.
Oh,
And
when you're done talking about this, remind me to talk about something else related to a convention about gaming. I've got some good news for that.
okay then.
Okay, you
But
continue.
yeah, I'm going to be going up to a convention in Birmingham called Insomnia 64 later this month. So that does mean that one stream late in like a couple of weeks' time will not be happening because I'm obviously not going to be here to do it. I will still be able to do the podcast because I can just set that to a scheduled upload and that'll go through on its own, so no need to worry about that. But yeah, I really don't know what to expect with this. I know that there are sort of like kiosks and booths up there for things, and there's also a VR thing as well, which I am probably going to head directly towards the moment I get there. Because
Please tell me how fun your experience was, or
I
bizarre,
will.
or sickening, or uneventful it was.
I don't
Whatever.
know.
Just tell me.
I will be sure to tell you everything. But yeah, I will. Anybody that is going to Insomnia 64 in Birmingham and it is on the What day was it? It was on the 20th. I am going to be there, so if you are up there and you see me around, come and say hi. Just don't be too creepy about it, alright? I do have a little bit of social anxiety, so having randos walk up to me and start talking to me like they know me is a bit unnerving, shall we say.
Speaking of which, I have to ask. Tell me, how were you feeling the first time you met me and my parents? Hopped in the car and we were just hanging out. Again, we'd known each other for so long, but finally, physically be next to each other, chatting and whatnot. Did you feel a little weird?
I did admittedly feel a little bit weird. Because it's just kind of that little disconnect from the fact that we talk to each other online all the time, but then when we actually meet in person, it's just how, even though I know what you look like, how I picture you based on your voice is just completely different.
I know, I know. Also, my parents. And what'd you think of them, too?
The fact that they were insistent, the fact that every time I picked up a souvenir and looked at it, they were insistent on buying it for me was a bit, was a bit weird. But I understand why they were trying.
They do that a lot. They do that a lot.
Yeah, and I also remember that we went to one of the when we went to that market. I can't remember what it was called. And there were those little like 3D maze puzzle ball things, and I was just like, oh hey, yeah, I remember these from when I was younger.
I ended up getting one of those. I ended up getting one of those. I got the bowl one.
Yeah, I can't remember why your mum said that that would happen. It was just like one of your cousins or something wouldn't be interested in it or something. So,
oh, my nephew.
Yeah.
I mainly got it for him, but if he didn't want it, I definitely would keep it.
I'm fairly certain you probably still have it too.
I unfortunately forgot to bring it into this house. I just realized now that we've brought it up, it's still sitting in my old room back at Glen Rowan. I'll have to pick it up.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we go back onto the subject of gaming?
Considering one more thing I just want to mention. I also forgot to mention it's also quite common mom and dad do this. Like they try to shout out for example, someone like you because you're a close friend of mine. They have deep respects for anyone who means well to me and yeah. Because again, they were surprised that the coincidence that we were able to meet. That we were going up there to meet my brother, and you just happened to be there on that one day, the day we show up. It was amazing.
I think I had arrived the day before or something. It's just I just happened to be. It's just that I happened to be in that area at that time.
Yeah. Plus, I also talked about you a lot to my parents, so they knew you very well, from my perspective, anyway.
Anyway, back onto the subject of gaming. Is there anything that you have been playing recently?
Well, not that much new. I will mention one thing I'm getting back into for just because of a small little update, but speaking of gaming and conventions, turns out I am going to be, in fact, going to PAX.
Ooh!
Here, because apparently my big brother's going, and he asked if I'd be interested. At first I was like, I don't think so. Then I realized, hang on, a lot of my friends have been asking, am I going to PAX? Or they want to meet me there, and I'm like, fuck it. I'll go with my brother and mention that, and let's see what happens. It'll be my first gaming convention. Plus, I want to spend more time with my big brother. And a chance to probably meet some of my online friends. Diahar, for example, is definitely one of those people that really want to meet me there. I think of 3 other people, but yeah, I'm really just gonna go all out and just join my brother going up there and just seeing what happens. Plus, they've got VR there as well, but they got the Pro version, and I think they've got the prototype. What are they called? Nux?
Yeah, those things that Valve have been pushing that I think the Oculus Rift have had since like day 1 or something.
Yeah, but I really like how they balanced it out. Because on the one hand, the from what I've heard, the touch controllers are lighter, but that might not always be a good thing, because what if you're holding a pistol or a big gun in VR and you kind of wish there was a little bit more weight? You find yourself jittering. Well, holy shit, my computer has been idle for so long, it just It just switched off. I have to move
Yeah,
my
mine
mouse.
did that as well just now. It's just sitting here listening to you talking or me talking, and then suddenly the screen goes dark, and I was just like, oh god damn it! So I just had to move the mouse to make
I'm
sure.
here, PC. I am here.
I am here. I am still talking.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to giving those a go if they are still there. But anyway, as for the reason why I think this is a good idea, because it's a mix between the big fat ones that us Vive users are probably used to, but it also has a little bit of the touch thing, but with the idea of you can let go of the controller. It's still with you, but your hands feel a little bit more free. And as someone who's messed around with certain games where you have to constantly hold a button, or like in VR chat when I'm holding a gesture that's just going on for ages, having to hold the trigger or whatnot for so long, I'm like for example that Forger guy from the first Dark Souls. He does that whole Dragon Ball Z super duper Forge thing. It goes on for several minutes, maybe even half an hour, and I have to hold the trigger down for that long. It doesn't seem like much at first, but then over time start gripping it tighter because I'm like, I'm not gonna slip. I'm not gonna slip. I'm not gonna end this abruptly. Stay down, you stupid trigger.
Yeah, that reminds me of the time when I was watching the a clip from Dragon Ball Z of Vegeta trying to do Final Flash for the first time against Perfect Cell.
Vegeta.
Sorry.
Sorry.
But yeah,
You know why? Because I'm a monkey.
Oh no! I'm no longer a monkey! Oh no! The kid's a monkey!
It's a monkey. Destructo disc.
The fuck! But yeah, I actually tried mimicking what Vegeta was doing while he was trying to do the Final Flash, and my god, my arms! I was in so much pain trying to hold my arms out by my side and then in front of me during that whole scene. It's just like, no wonder Vegeta's fucking screaming. He must be in so much pain.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, going back onto the subject, we don't really talk about games an awful lot on this podcast. It's called the Game Time Podcast, but we don't really talk about games.
Unfortunately, I'm one of those people that just stick to the few games I've gotten, rarely venture outwards. But yeah.
Well,
although I've been, right at the moment I'm darting back to VR chat a little more because my Dutchie got updated with these proper eyes that now track, and my friend added this cute little gesture that makes the texture change, so it goes from just a standard eye to this cute wide dilated eye that you see like from a puppy dog face,
kind of like the Puss in Boots thing, really.
Yes, exactly like that. Puss in Boots. Imagine those eyes on a Dutchie. When I do
bright
that
orange.
So I go, will you adopt me? And then I put my hands over my eyes, trigger the gesture, take my hands away, and go, please?
Cute. But yeah, games that I've been playing. I've been playing an awful lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links lately. I don't know why. I was just in the mood to play a children's card game.
It seems ever since we talked about the whole Deus Ex thing and you brought up the Yu-Gi-Oh! Thing, it seems that that's either something triggered it before and now you're getting it and that's why you
I don't know.
showed me that video, or was that when you showed me that video you started thinking about it and you were like, ah, fuck it, I'm gonna get back into it.
No, I think it was more to do. I was playing it before then. It's just that I think I was going through YouTube and it came up with recommended and it was just like, oh, watch this Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode because you've been watching a lot of this channel. I was just like, you know what? I'm bored. I'll watch a Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode. Next thing you know, I'm sitting there watching several. I was just like, damn it, I really want to get back into this game again. But then I suddenly remembered, oh yeah, I can't follow the meta because all my cards are shit. That's one thing I hate about Yu-Gi-Oh! The meta and the constant additions of new summoning methods. They must have at least 8 or 9 by this point. In fact, I will list them for you. Normal summoning. Yes.
Yeah, that kind of just reminds me of MOBAs in general, or certain other games with too many characters. I'm like, I'm not going to dedicate into this. It will take me forever to get used to memorizing a few of these guys and at least knowing what I'm up against rather than going in blind. And then the next couple of months, there will already be three more characters, or maybe buffs or nerfs to all these other characters here and there. It's going to be all over the place. I can't keep up with this. I'm not going to try to keep up with this. I'm not going to bother with I'm not going to bother with League of Legends or Dota. That's why I can't. I can't click with
honestly
those.
found League of Legends and Dota 2 to be quite boring. I don't know what it is. I just couldn't find that level of enjoyment that everybody else finds with it. I did like Heroes of the Storm, but unfortunately Blizzard have turned around and promptly shot that one in the head. Because they've just gone, oh yeah, we're not doing esports stuff with that one anymore. Let's go focus on Overwatch because that's the great game. Everybody's leaving Overwatch, Blizzard. What the fuck are you talking about?
Are they really?
Oh, all that I know is that people who used to cover Overwatch like in their droves or was like the main focus of their channel have literally switched over to doing things like PUBG or Fortnite.
Or what's it called? Apex Legends now.
Yeah. I still really need to get into that, but apparently it's now gotten to the point where all those people who play Apex Legends have gotten so good that it makes it difficult for new people to get into. It's kind of getting to that point at the moment.
Oh,
yeah.
but by the way,
Yes.
speaking of games, I just remembered two things. One, I've heard that a lot of people, like for example, Angry Joe and whatnot, that they have speculated of why Anthem failed, has apparently been exposed, and apparently a majority of their speculations were indeed correct. But the biggest shocker, it's not entirely EA's fault for once. It was actually BioWare's fault.
Really?
Yeah,
Pulls up card.
even Angry Joe said
You're not the
said
robot?
that this may be the biggest controversial thing to bring up, even for this. It isn't all EA's fault this time. Yes, we just said that. So yeah, I was even like, oh geez, I want to hate EA and blame EA for everything, but now even Angry Joe, who feels the same way I do, is saying that. But when he started explaining, I was like, yeah, okay, I kind of get it now. Still, EA is shit though. And the other thing I wanted to talk about that I thought was an April Fool's thing, but it was leaked, and I was thinking it was either going to be a one hell of a big dedicated April Fool's thing, but apparently Ash from Evil Dead is indeed showing up in Dead by Daylight.
Hmm.
The trailer for him was just released. Well, it was released early because data mine was showed. I think what happened was, if I remember correctly, when the playtest was up for The Plague, if you went on the Xbox version, I think it was, and you went into the Survivor and went in Kill Your Friends, which is a non-competitive, so all the things are unlocked, there were 3 perks that no one had seen before, and they heavily referenced Evil Dead. And my goodness, we have no idea who the killer is going to be, but Ash is indeed going to be the survivor. And they got the fucking actor. At least I believe this is legitimately the actor. And I love the little funny thing that happens at the end where the devs said that we're going to give me a little special something after this. Can you hand it to me? And they hand him a flashlight. This isn't, well, I forgot what the name of what he named his gun. What did he name his gun?
I don't know. I've never watched Evil Dead, so I don't know.
Hold on, I've got the video up. Tequila. He's like, this isn't tequila. What the? And he turns it on. What the fuck? And he points it at the camera, and it does the same effect it does in Dead by Daylight. Now, if you're the killer and you get blinded by the survivor, someone get my agent. What the fuck is this? I got to show you the trailer when this podcast is done.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to what I was talking about with regards to Yu-Gi-Oh! And the fact that they just keep introducing new summoning methods. It's just ridiculous.
Sorry, I veered us off track. Again.
As I was saying, current summoning methods are, excluding special summoning, because that pretty much counts for most of these other ones, you've got normal, tribute, ritual, fusion, synchro, Exe, pendulum, and now they've got link summons. That's 8 different summoning methods.
Now we just need the park summons next to the link.
Uh, no, copyright, mate, copyright, mate. You should know this by now. You should know this by now. But yeah, at this point in time, I'm sitting there thinking, thank God that Duel Links is only just up to synchro summons, because the minute they start going into the other ones, it's just going to be like, oh my God, I just can't keep up. The fact that you have to keep effectively reinventing your deck every time some new summoning method comes along, it's just no. No. I'd rather stick with Magic the Gathering personally, but I don't find Magic the Gathering as interesting as Yu-Gi-Oh. But yeah. One other interesting thing to note is that because we are in the month of April and April Fool's Day was not too long ago, Super Adventure Box has returned to Guild Wars 2. Although admittedly, Worlds 3 and 4 are still nowhere to be seen. So I wish they would put those in. I just want to do a juvenile mode and get to the end and just be like, yeah, so that's what the final boss is like. But it's just like, nope. Still only Worlds 1 and 2. I think it's got something to do with the way that they built the game, or built that particular bit of the game, because it was done with, like, the old engine or something or other, and yeah, they basically can't add or do anything. But then I was saying that they can't add anything to it. They've added a race in the main hub area, and they've also done one of those timed collection adventures within each stage, so it's not like they can't do anything with it. I think they're just maybe focusing on other areas. Maybe, I don't know. And considering the fact that the company just laid off a load of people and basically just restructured recently, they probably didn't have time to do anything about it. So, yeah. That's basically it.
And I'm still sorry I still haven't been interested enough to get back into Guild Wars 2.
Because you just want to you want to do the VR stuff. You just want it to be in VR.
Well, that too, but again, just like in Warframe, I felt like I had a good Necros build, but except in Guild Wars 2, it wasn't always the best build, because it's usually something where you want one or two minions, but if you had nothing but minions, there's just only that set amount of minions. There's only, like, for example, one extra variety, the Shadow thing, or that Fiend that just basically throws things. Oh, no, sorry. And then there's this other one, which is stationary. That's about it. And there would, and I was waiting patiently for the Necromancer to get more minions. But now there was the first one that I really liked, though, where we could wield a great sword. But then there was this other one which allows us to wield a torch, and changed our powers entirely. But this meant I either had to wield a torch and these new abilities, and give up my great sword, or stick with what I've got. But still, I want more minions, and I want minions to be a viable build. But
I want turrets to be a viable build, but apparently, because of the way that they operate and their targeting AI, they're not great, and also their damage is just kind of piss poor, because it's just a case of, well, if their damage was too strong, why would you take anything else? Which is why I want to make my own sort of pseudo VR MMO where you can literally just make your own classes. You can literally just invent what you want, invent your own abilities. So if you want to be a necromancer running around with a greatsword, summoning minions left, right, and center, you can fucking do it, and it'll be viable.
And you'll be the very best.
Yeah. Like no one ever was. Yes, I know. You can't say that without going like no one ever was. Yes,
yeah. But as much as I love Warframe, there's still one thing I'm always going to be salty about, and this is where I was getting to. I felt that the only when I finally discovered a good minion build from some sort of game where it felt like I could have more than just 4 minions or 7 minions, I could have more than that. I could have a bit of a squad, was in Warframe. Originally, with the old Necros Shadows of the Dead, power strength determined how many minions I had, not just their damage. Originally, the cap was 20 shadow minions. And when you had that amount, even if their damage wasn't buffed, They were drawing so much fire off, and there was so many of them shooting that they were actually killing things. And it was all on a timer. It wasn't a health decay that was unpredictable, and also, well, but again, and I really liked that because I had a timer. I built for time, so I have this amount of time to rack up another 20 kills more than my minions for the next wave to keep the squad up for the next wave. But then they overhauled him. I was so excited for the Necros Prime, but at the last couple of days, I realized, wait, this means they're gonna fucking change him, aren't they? And they did. They buffed his Desecrate, but they gutted his ultimate for the sake of performance. They made it now that you can recast and reheal them, and it will pick which one it thinks is the best. And also, you press forward to teleport them towards you if they're too far. If that sometimes works, I still, to this day, it's still not 100%. I get moments where some, or maybe even all of my minions won't teleport to me. And now I have to wait for an unpredictable amount of time for them to die so I can get this back up here before I die, because my Shield of Shadows is not being utilized because I have no shadows with me. And it doesn't matter how much they buffed their damage, there's still dumb AI that's gonna run here, run, take cover, fire a single shot, and just reload. That happens a lot. Sometimes when I desperately need power and I'm standing right in front of someone so that they can shoot me and take away some of my health so I can build up some power and cast my abilities, they miss, and then they reload. Or sometimes I run around, there's a gunner, bang, 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 reload. There we go. Bang, 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 bang. They seem to almost always reload when they start shooting you. And imagine that happening to your shadows. I didn't have that problem originally because I had so many of them. It didn't matter if one was slacking. I just wanted dozens of minions, but performance always kicks in. There's only just a few games here and there that don't follow this suit, but it doesn't interest me. Like, for example, Path of Exiles, my big brother keeps telling me, you can have a huge amount of minions. But I don't find the game interesting. Just having the minions that much alone doesn't interest me that much. Warframe was Warframe. I just loved it. And I went Rhino or this or that if I wanted to be the single army guy, but Necros was my go-to to be a literal person owning an army. I love turning things into a huge onslaught skirmish of battles, and I have a fascination of watching AI versus AI, and I miss that.
Mm.
And that's the end of my rant about Necros.
Is that the reason why you've been using Revenant so much recently? Because
it's still the same. They kept the exact same cap, 7. But funny enough, it was originally only 3 or 4, and then they buffed it up to 7.
Hey, 7's better than nothing, right? I mean, it's
But
not.
it's
It's not
as
exactly
Necros.
an army, but it's still a squad.
And remember how much he doesn't synergize well with other people. Remember how often I sometimes have to remind you, don't shoot some of my minions. I don't have that many. It needs to spread a little bit. Save me some power. Everyone nukes. Everyone is a walking nuke. And when you have minions that can be killed by your own allies, you can bet that it's rarely going to get used.
Yeah, that's probably why people hate Limbo so much, because he just doesn't work well with other Warframes, because he always keeps dephasing them or putting them into, like, I can't remember what the Nexus or something, or it basically just takes them off this plane of existence and makes the Rift, yeah, and it makes them immune to damage unless you're also in the Rift with them. And but then again, back when the whole recent Fortuna...
You thought that was bad? Remember there was a time when Limbo's banishing thing on allies could not be cancelled out by the allies themselves. That was before they implemented the thing that you could roll to get out of it.
Yeah, that was why I found Limbo annoying. But then again, he was useful during the recent event that they had on Fortuna with that kind of stuff, where you had to defend the coolant canister. Literally, you just walk in with Limbo, put the Cataclysm bubble up, make it so that they freeze when they enter the Rift, and then you could just basically just sit there picking them off as they try and enter, and they can't do any damage either.
And I don't think there's I don't think there's really any XMIs on the corpus side. I think there is, but any energy leech XMIs, and god damn it, they are the worst because they still to this day. I really wish they'd add something that gives us feedback that we're in the range of one and where it's coming from, like some sort of little ring or uh, part
doesn't
like
that
ring.
already happen? Isn't that like the little red ring that you get underneath you?
No,
Yeah, I walked near those guys before, and I get like this little red, sort of orangey glow effect underneath me. That's like, yeah, you're in range of this guy. He's draining your energy.
no, that's the damage. That's the damage guy. No, the energy leech ones are the ones that don't do that effect when you get up
Oh,
close.
right. So there's no actual effects for those ones. I thought that was those guys.
Yeah, I do remember there being the scorpions, for example, on the Grenier side, but god damn it, when you go on a sortie mission on a infested faction based, and you get a Eximus stronghold, it may as well be energy reduction because remember when you're in the path of one, not only does your energy get drained, but anything that would mitigate it, like passive energy regen or whatnot, is paused.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yes, it doesn't matter how many stacks of regen or passive regen from, say, Zinoric when you pick up an energy orb. If you've got a channel ability going, or if you're in Leech XMI's range, it's on pause.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, so, gaming stuff. We are not happy with games that we play, but we want things that they don't offer, and I would like to create a game where I could offer all that, but I don't know how to make games, so... problems, problems, problems.
we are never happy. but
No, we are never
games.
happy with the things that we have. Anyway, moving on to the final section, because of articles 11 and 13, I am unable to provide any Newslink articles, so... shall we do a bit of DSP watch again?
I don't know.
Well, all I can say is that I was watching a parody DSP Tries It video recently, and he had gotten to a point where he was fighting, like, I can't remember what the name of the boss is. It's kind of like a big, giant, white yeti thing with a sword in its neck, and then when you beat it, it, like, goes to a second phase where it actually starts using the sword, and it's holding its head in its other hand. It was,
That sounds metal.
Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice. That was the game. I forgot to mention that was the game. Sekiro. Sekiro? Yes, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. But yeah, he'd been spending so long struggling and failing and dying on this boss. He then goes for a 20-minute break, comes back, and then immediately beats the boss. And he's just like, oh, I was sitting in my office and it was hot and I was obviously getting angry and overheated and that was why I couldn't beat the boss. And everyone's just sitting there going, Phil, during that 20 minutes you went and looked up a guide, didn't you? And he's just like, oh, no I didn't. You get banned for suggesting that. Or as he calls it, the lean-in ban, because he has to lean in order to be able to do the ban.
Again, ever since I told you about that, you've been growing more and more aware of how he leans back and forth whenever he's monologuing.
Yeah. It's like he can't sit still. And apparently now, according to one of the videos that I've currently got in my sub feed, he is now trying to beg for 5k to save his house, because he can't afford to pay his taxes. I'm
Didn't we
honestly
go
under
over
the
this last
impression
time?
that whole tax thing is just bullshit. I think he's just lying.
Yeah. Yeah, you said all this exactly in the last podcast,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, anytime DSP begs for money, I really do believe that the amount he's asking for is like several hundred, maybe even 1,000% more than what he actually needs. So, yeah. Nothing much else to talk about on that regard other than the fact that DSP is still just a piece of shit man-child who sucks at video games and can't admit when he needs to go and look up guides. So, yeah. Anyway, folks, I think that is probably enough. So that is the end of the podcast. So, Mikey boy, you got anything you want to add?
No, I don't think so. So, as Heavy Weapons Guy says...
Okay, enough.
You son of a bitch.